interview. Yes, it is the night before the game, and Brendan Rodgers was interviewed. He was interviewed today, and it was a very interesting interview given by the manager. We'll talk about it in just a second. It was a really interesting one given by the manager. Tell me what you think about what the manager said, telling everyone to stay calm amongst the ongoing crisis. Yeah, they do like to call it a crisis in the Scottish media. And the Celtic manager did have a little laugh and a giggle about the fact that when Celtic do anything, when they drop any points, it is crisis, and it's always crisis. And it's just the way it is with Celtic. The Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers called for calm amongst the crisis mode again. He said he predicted that the title will go to the wire. He also said that, look, I didn't expect to come up here, and we know we want to win the league, but we never predict that we're going to win it by 10 or 20 points. Says that's just something that we can't do, said Brendan Rodgers. He then went on to say, having been 7 points clear, Rangers could go in front tonight. I think when he said, you know, you're never going to think that you're going to win the league by 10 or 20 points, said Rodgers. He said, but that for me was managing expectations. He says, you set out to do the very best you can, said Brendan. And the interview today, and his mannerism he was sitting quite defensive, and you're going to get people saying like his body language isn't the same as what it was when he was first here. He even said today in the interview, he said, look, when you look at the average age of the team is still young. He says we've gone 4 or 5 games, 6 games or whatever it is, and we just haven't had that killer instinct. He says that goes a little bit. He said, listen, we've won our last 6 out of 7, we've drawn 1. The rules up here in Glasgow is how it works, but the key is just to stay calm. He was then asked if he portrays that to the players, and even Scales said, he says, look, the outside noise and everything that's going on social media, he says, we don't think about it, to be honest, and we just get on with our day-to-day work. Celtic could find themselves in second place this evening, and when tomorrow when we go to Hibs. Rodgers says, look, pressure is pressure. Trying to bring the 3rd consecutive title to Celtic has its own pressure. Trying to win 3 titles in a row has its own pressure. Having to win as many titles in a row. Celtic are in a strong position, he believes. There are not too many teams around Europe. He says that when you have 4 points out of 6, yes, when you have 4 points out of 6, you're in crisis mode. I think we were maybe spoilt the first time that he was at Celtic. What do you think? Because we always compare to when he was at Celtic the first time, and we always compare him to the manager that's just left. Brendan Rodgers did say himself. He said, "Look, you were." Even his own belief is you never go back. You never go back. But what he says the call to hear was too much. I always think that when a manager does come back, it is always difficult for him. But we have to make sure that we back the team as much as possible. And let's face it, Brendan Rodgers is a man that knows how to win things in Scotland. He knows how to win things in Scotland. And, it's interesting. Kieran's asking how we're doing with 15k. Yes, we're still around 15,000. We're still on 15,000, Kieran. We're well above that. I know we checked it today. Been far too busy to look at anything on YouTube today. Brendan Rodgers was also talking about the title prediction. He says, I know the rules up here in Glasgow. What do you think about that comment? Manager insists that the defending champions need to stay calm, and the fans need to stay calm as we go into the title race. Rodgers says the main challenge is his 2 full seasons in Scotland. The first time round came with Celtic were unbeaten domestically. The situation is different now. Said it's different now, said Brendan Rodgers. He says, I never think you set out this season thinking that you're going to win the league by 10 or 20 points. You set out to be the very best you can and meet the challenge that is in and around you. Is he now saying that the league wasn't as strong? Is he now saying that the league wasn't as strong when he was here the first time? Maybe he found it too easy. Maybe he came back because the club across the road is a bit stronger and he thinks he can maybe do something. I don't know. Interesting. Anyway, we'll go back to team, says Paul Baird. Kieran, there's also Kyogo and these guys to come in. Yeah, when you look at the players that have come back, it was good to see Dyson Maida coming back and training today. He'll go straight back into the team, and I expect him to play on the weekend, tomorrow night and the weekend. Will he make all that much of a difference to the team? Brendan Rodgers says that he's in a better place physically. He's in a better place physically because he's had a few games and he's done more training on the pitch. So he's in a lot better place than he was when he was here in December, the last time he played for Celtic. So it'll be interesting to see whether he kicks on and helps us even more. What do you think? Let's get into some of the comments and see what the comments. I've stayed calm for three breakdowns in 2 weeks. Three breakdowns in 2 weeks. Oh dear. Pork Chops is in the house. We'd be calm if we weren't witnessing the shit show at the moment. Michael Ross says, calm, I'm very fucking calm. Mind blown. Blown an 8-point lead. Dropping points here, there and everywhere. Yeah, I'm calm. Ewan Boy Martin says, hail, hail, troops. Michael Port Chop replies to Michael, says, evening gents, and evening to myself. Why are the clubs stockpiling this money? I don't think it's a case of the stockpiling money. I just think it's the fact that when you're trying to go for players, it's unfortunate that sometimes you just can't get the players in that you want. It's as simple as that. When you look at the English market, there hasn't been a lot of big spending transfers this window. It has been it was a very subdued window, but we move on from that. Stephen says, evening Baz and troops, I'm calm, stoned. Fantastic. The one good thing, Martin Ewanboy says, one good thing that obviously Dyson Myra is back for the game tomorrow. Scales, on the other hand, Scales says, look, we need to embrace the pressure. We need to embrace the pressure as Rangers close in on them. It says the added pressure has been at the top of the table. It can bring the best out in the team. The centre back vowed to embrace the challenge after Celtic drew at Aberdeen on Saturday. And Scales did say, he says, look, when you look at the games that we've dropped points, we were the better team, and he believes that Celtic are still the better team and can go on. He was then asked about having a settled back four, um, would that make a difference? Because basically we haven't had a settled back four, and as that's what's causing the problems in the team. I don't think it is so, and Scales doesn't think so either. He says the fact that the guys that have came in do really well. He says, look, the draw on Saturday up at Aberdeen allowed Rangers to cut the gap at the top of the table, but to 3 points. He says, we know it's a tight race at the moment. Do we focus on it? No, we focus on the day job. We don't look at outside factors. We don't listen to things online. And they just focus on the next game. It's as simple as that. Nothing's changed at Celtic, says Liam Scales. Scales says, we know it is a tight race. We just want to win as many games as possible, and we feel that will get us there. And it's the same mantra that has been at Celtic for a long, long time. It's all about the next game and winning the next game. And even when Celtic were on fantastic runs, going back to Brendan Rodgers' first time, when they were on, even Scott Brown used to be asked, do you get carried away? Do you get caught up in thinking about trying to win the treble? And he said then, he said, no, you just focus on the next game. And that's what's going on in the dressing ground, in the dressing room at Celtic and on the training pitch. Brendan Rodgers says that he's happy with Adam Ida. He says he's happy with the seeing him in training and seeing him up close. And he's looking forward to working with him. He says that Adam Ida and the one and only Nicholas Kuhn can help Celtic in the short to medium and long term. That was one thing that I took that he said in his interview today. So it has came out that Adam could be a Celtic player next season for the measly sum of around about 3 million. It will only cost Celtic 3 million to buy him at the end of the season. If Celtic like what they see, and the fact that the Brendan Rodgers did say when talking about those two players specifically, he said they can help us in the short to medium and long term at the club. So I think Celtic are definitely getting Adam Ida in. They've obviously got him in loan. They haven't got that option to buy, but I think there'll be a gentleman's agreement between Brendan Rodgers, the board, and Norwich to say, look, if we like him, we'll buy him. If it's not in the contract, it's not in the contract, because usually what happens is when you have the option to buy, it's written into the loan agreement. This isn't written into the loan agreement, so they've just taken him on loan to take him off your hands, because let's face it, even the Norwich boss has said, look, it made sense for us to send Adam up to Celtic because at the end of the day, you want players that are going to be happy here. And we felt that getting them some game time up in Scotland, we could keep an eye on also. So it could work both ways. It could work both ways. And we'll see what happens. But Brendan Rodgers saying short to medium and long term from both players pretty much means that Celtic are probably going to put in a bid for Adam if he does the work. Brendan Rodgers says he likes his movement. He has everything in his locker that could make him a top player after seeing him in training this week. He says it's good to see him up close. He says obviously I've seen him when I was down in England, but seeing what he can do on the training pitch has been a joy. Pretty much Brendan Rodgers said. So tell me what you think of that. I think if either scores in the next couple of games, it'll be really interesting. He got some good positioning in the last game. Obviously, Nico managed to get that goal. It was a deflection, but it was on target. Nico couldn't get that goal at the weekend. It was on target. If it wasn't on target, it wasn't going in. There's too many of the Celtic players just now are not even getting them on target. So if they get a deflection, there's probably not even there's even less chance of them going in. All you can ask for the players to do is hit it on target, and that's what Celtic have been lacking in the last couple of weeks. And I'm just catching up with I take it Korea are out of the Asian Cup. Yeah, it looks like it. So Korea are out of the Asian Cup. Yang and O will be making their way back to Celtic. Korea, yeah, I've just cut. I was watching it today as well. It was 0-0 when I left it. But so that's other good news that we'll get two players back from the Asia Cup in O and Yang. What will happen to O? Yeah, maybe we should talk about that. What will happen to O now that Adam Ida has entered the building? Brendan Rodgers did, if you watched the video that I put out this morning, we spoke about formations. Spoke about formations that Celtic may or may not play at the game tomorrow night. And Brendan says the good thing about having these players in, and specifically talking about Adam, is the fact that we can play either one striker up front, you could play one striker and one just behind them, or we could play the two of them up front. So I do expect a change of formation from the manager. I do expect a change of formation from the manager over, well, definitely tomorrow night. Definitely tomorrow night. It wouldn't surprise me if he did change to a 4-4-2 formation. Will he go for the 3-5-2 that I spoke about this morning? That would be really interesting. But Brendan Rodgers did say in the interview today that it gives him that option. What then comes into the thoughts of the manager when O comes back next week? O has just been put out of the Asia Cup along with Yang. I don't even think they got a game today. I know they were on the bench the first 30 minutes that I watched of the game. They were on the bench. So the big man O, he's not been too shy at putting himself about the box, but he's got direct competition now from Adam. So it's going to be interesting to see how his game goes up a level, or if it does go up a level indeed. It's kind of times like that where when you do have that bit of competition, you need to bring out your A game, and Celtic players will definitely need to do that in the next couple of weeks. Watch Awata versus Hibs 4-1 tomorrow. He was invisible. Says Kieran, right, let's jump up. Yeah, get some back of the comments before we jump back to Scales. Talking about the pressure. Celtic could go Easter Road on Wednesday in second place if the Rangers beat Aberdeen by 3 goals. By 3 goals. They need 3 goals to go top of the league. And I take it a few years will be watching that this evening. Let's finish about Scales. Scales does not believe that the outcome at Ibrox this evening will make any difference to Celtic's approach to the game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, says Liam Scales. I don't think the way they look at it Whether we're top of the league by 10 points or 3 points, or whether we're in second, says the Ireland defender. We still approach every game to win it, and it's never going to change. Realistically, it doesn't change how we think about it at all. Obviously, it adds a bit of pressure, but it says Brendan Rodgers, the pressure isn't on now. The pressure will come in a couple of weeks' time, a couple of months' time, when the league is getting to the funny end of the season, when things start to get decided and handed out. That's when the pressure will build. And Brendan Rodgers seems to think that he has the players that will be able to soak up that pressure. Right, let's jump back into some of the comment section. Chilpel says that I'm not even going to what Mad Mental Shug says. Chilpel says, I like Ida and Kuhn. Yeah, so I think they're fantastic players. Somebody asking, where is Awata? He is out injured. I don't know if he'll be in the mix for tomorrow, like Chilpel says. I'm not too sure. I think he is still injured. He's a player that seems to have been injured more at Celtic than not. After Ange Postecoglou brought him in just over a bit ago. Anyway, O couldn't get a game for Yorker. Jobbo says, Awata is a baller. Anyone who can't see that is clueless. He's a big, strong lad, and he likes to put himself. Do you know what would be really interesting? If O comes back, and I think he'll probably get back maybe Friday. Thursday, late Friday, will he make the training session on Friday? And then if the manager changed the system to play two up front, does he go with Adam Ida and Big O? That would be some front two. That would give Celtic a bit of beef around that front, especially if they were to play two up front. If they were to play two up front, would you rather go with Kyogo and Ida, or would you rather go with O and Adam Ida? That's an interesting one. That's a permutation that could be seen in the next couple of weeks. And I think that, especially when you've got a bigger team that like to sit back and defend, and that have got big, tall defenders like a lot of the teams in the SPFL, I think that could be a really interesting one in the next couple of weeks. Poach Up says, Kieran, I probably start on Slave, and says, he's played one game, lads. Can't believe we're relying on Kuhn and Ida. What a fall from grace. What a fall from grace. I wonder if anyone said that when it was Rio Hutati's first game, when he signed a couple of seasons ago at New Year, and he walked straight into the Rangers game. And nobody said that we were relying on him then, and he went out and scored an absolute screamer. So I think we should be a little bit more positive towards the players until they went down the road of the likes of the one and only Turnbull that's been here for a while and just didn't achieve his fullness. Anyway, Snowball says, well said, Chilpel. I don't know what some people watch, and with regards to the big man, Oh, Irish Corner Store says he'll pass from County Armagh. Fantastic part of the world is Armagh. Fortnight crew is, why is everyone cracking up? We played bad second half versus Aberdeen. We might turn out to be a very good point come the end of the season. Hail. Brendan Rodgers spoke about the last time that we were at Hibs, and the last time we were at Hibs, it took us 60 minutes to get going, said Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers was pretty much disappointed with the team at that time. Brendan Rodgers says that, look, he says, when you go to Hibs and you don't play fast attacking football for the first 60 minutes, of course it's going to affect us. And if you remember, Hibs got an absolute result that night. They got a draw, didn't they? Anyway, Rebel Quadruple Treble says, I would be calm if it wasn't for the inconsistent performances. Well, Hibs have had inconsistent performances over the last 5 games. They've drawn, they've lost, and then they lost, they drew a game, they lost the game, they drew a game, and then they lost the last game. So, going on that kind of format, you would say that Hibs are in line for a draw tomorrow. I think that Celtic and Brendan Rodgers will change it up a bit. I think he will go for that 2 up front. If he doesn't go for 2 up front, he'll maybe have Adam Ida playing in that number 9 position just behind Kyogo. so it keeps his formation, which means there'll be a change in midfield. Maybe he's going to drop Paulo Bernardo out of the team to make way for Adam Ida. Who knows? We'll have to wait till it comes an hour and 15 minutes before kickoff tomorrow evening, and I will be doing a live for that game. I'm not sure if I'm going to go to the pub or not. We'll wait and see. John is in the house this evening. How are you doing, John? And I've got no feelings towards either, as he's not ours, and he won't be no matter how long he might be. Adam Ida, and it's been suggested. Well, this is what Brendan Rodgers said about Adam Ida and Nico Kuhn today. He said that those two players will help us in the short to medium and long term. That to me suggests that Celtic have got it in place where they're probably going to buy Adam Ida if he does okay for us. If he scores seven goals between now and the end of the season, Celtic will definitely buy him. And it's been suggested that Celtic will only have to pay £3 million for Adam Ida. And you can see that one happening all day long. It's the kind of money that Celtic are probably going to spend on a striker, isn't it? Really, being realistic. Awata, the J League Player of the Year, is not. I take it he's having a good old um, a good old conversation with yourselves up there. We should try two up front. We should, Kevin. We should. If you watch this morning's video, I says we should be playing 3-5-2 tomorrow night. I think we have to have a right good go. I think we've got to have a fantastic go at Hibs. Hibs have not won a game in 5 games. It's there for the taking, and it's up to the team to come out and prove a point. I think the players have to prove a point. I think the manager has to prove a point. The fact that the manager says today that Adam Ider coming in gives them another way of playing, and he did say, he says, look, will we play with the one up? Will we play with two up? Will we play with one behind? It's all going to be interesting. And then it throws into the mix in the next couple of weeks because we'll be back at the end of the week. He'll be fresh from the and he'll be here's a thought, right? See the players, if you remember the World Cup, when it was in December, if you remember the World Cup, it was in December, and there was two players. There was one player that came back to Celtic after playing at the World Cup, and his name was Aaron Moy. And let's face it, Aaron Moy didn't have a particularly good run in the team before that World Cup. He had a really good World Cup, and he came back and he was absolutely on fire. He was buzzing. He was absolutely buzzing. What if that happens to the likes of Dyson Maeda? What if it happens to the likes of Rio when he comes back and gets fit, if that ever happens? But what if it happens to Yang? What if it happens to O? What if O comes back and he's totally buzzing for the fact that he got to witness the Asian Cup and he was there? And if he's totally buzzing just to prove a point and score goals, and he comes back and starts scoring a barrel load of goals, and then Kyogo gets dropped out of the team because he's misfiring all over the place. So you've got two big, powerful strikers for the first time in a long time, playing two up front. For me, I think that's a fantastic opportunity for all the players coming back from the Asia Cup. When you look at the buzz that Aaron Moy and the one and only Canadian got, the boost that they had when they came back from the World Cup at this time of year, they were absolutely buzzing and they were on fire. Maybe that might happen to the players coming back from the Asia Cup for us. You never know. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. Calm down, lads. You're behaving like zombies. I'd rather play my granny up front rather than says Liam Miles. I'm just trying to catch up with some of the comments. I take it you're having a little blast with yourselves in the comments section this evening, but that's all right. It's nice and cool. Just can do what you like in the comments section. Anyway, let's get back up to where was I? How long have we been? Stream. Right, let's see what the rest of the skills was saying. Obviously, Skill said it shows a different side to the players if we can all perform under pressure. Talking about the game tomorrow night, he says it shows a different side of the players, especially when it comes to the fact that if Celtic need to win tomorrow night to go back top of the league, it is a pressure game. It's a pressure pot game. They know that they have to win to do that. And I think that's when the heads are held up. You remember Matt O'Reilly did that at one game when we were a little bit down and he scores a screamer of a goal and he walks around the pitch telling everyone to get their chin up and let's do it. Meanwhile, Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers said that we all need to keep calm, and he predicts that the title race will go down to the wire. Down to the wire. Clearly, the competition is there, and it will be tight, said Brendan Rodgers. I'm pretty sure right through to the end of the season. For us, it's really about focusing on our own game and making sure that we have that consistency. What we've all been talking about is the lack of consistency. We have the capacity, Brendan Rodgers, to play well and win these big games. I think it demonstrates a wee bit where I am with this team and how young some of the players are. And is that I'm making excuses? A lot of you have said that's I'm making excuses for this season. But it is a young team, remember. It's a lot younger. We've spoken about this before. It's a lot younger than what it was the last time that Brendan Rodgers was at Celtic. So, where are we? Because I'm not sticking around much longer tonight. Let's see what other Celtic news is kicking about. Greg Taylor will be back in for selection. That's another thing that Brendan Rodgers spoke about. He was asked about Greg Taylor. He said if he's not back for the weekend, he'll be back for next weekend. So Greg Taylor isn't ready for tomorrow night's game, but he will be back and in the squad for the weekend. Hopefully. So that's that for this evening. I'm going to just cut it there because I've got other things going on. Let's get some of the comments before we get away. Kieran, are you that guy that talks pure pish on Clyde Super scoreboards? His team is too calm, says Brian. Tam McIntosh says maybe if one of them convert a corner, we might stay calm. My issue, Chilpel says, is who plays left back tomorrow evening. I think who plays left back tomorrow evening, I think we should give Scales it and go to a three at the back. Scales, Rocky, and our little Canadian, or little Canadian. I think that should be the players that go at the back because I think that we only need three at the back. Go 3-5-2 tomorrow. Will Brendan Rodgers do that? I have no idea. And on that note, I'm calling it quits tonight. Up the Dons. I take you'll all be away to watch the Dons play the Sevconians. If you are, let's hope for a fantastic result for that lot. And hail, hail, everybody. Have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around the world.